Hello and welcome to Enter the Dragonair's Den, a Pokemon Go PvP podcast and the official podcast of the Battle Frontier. I am TacoDog8,
And I'm JetForceGemini.
and if you're new around here, unfortunately, welcome. Like I said at the top, and I'll get to the unfortunate part in a second.
Oh, God.
Yeah, Taco's bad with words tonight. He's recovering from a very, very, very eventful last weekend in Iowa. And by the time this recording goes live, I will already be in Texas. So safe travels, future Taco, or past Taco. Hope you made it safely. But on a semi-serious note, before I ask Jet how this week was, this will possibly be the final video portion of the podcast for some time. We just got to see how everything's gonna be touch and go down there. And if I'm unable to do the edits or get it sent over to the editor, then we're gonna go back to audio only. So if you enjoyed the video part, I appreciate it, but it's only gonna be temporary. Hopefully, it's only gonna be temporary, and it's only gonna last for about 4 months. So we'll see you back in September for the video portion. And audio listeners, don't expect anything to change.
Be just in time for season 2 of the Battle Frontier, right?
You know, with the way Niantic is breaking their game recently, that might be the actual start date, unfortunately. Well, before we go any further, Jed, how was your week and your weekend?
It was good fun. My cousin came down from Central California just sort of like last minute, and so I got to spend a weekend just hanging out with them and doing all the fun stuff and enjoying also Cinco de Mayo.
Woo!
Which, of course, mandatory Mexican food, mandatory burritos.
I also love that a lot of the Mexican restaurants will have like specials, and it's like, dang, I enjoy this. And especially
I made myself change like my go-to order. We're just like we're gonna try something new.
Was it successful?
Yeah, it was very good. I was happy. I might need to get it. Might be my new regular order from now on.
Interesting. It's always good to have two go-to orders at a restaurant.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Did you celebrate? Did you observe?
I did observe. Yes, we actually the Saturday on May the 4th, we finally had a get together with a couple of my closest buddies and I had been planning, and we had a 4-course Dragon Ball theme inspired dinner that was based off of like the 4 main villains of Dragon Ball Z. And there was adult beverages that were provided as well, that were like based off of the villains, which is really neat.
Thematic.
Yeah, so we had this really good Frieza drink, we had a really good Cell drink, and then we had a really good Majin Buu drink, and then the 4th one was a little bit of a cop out, but I still enjoyed it. It was like a Spirit Bomb flavored drink, and yeah, my hats off hats off to our two friends in our friend group. They went to culinary school and they cook as a hobby. So when they said, "Hey, let's do it," we said, "Okay." We didn't know if it was gonna if the food from the show was gonna taste good or the food inspired, or if it was just gonna be absolutely awful. But yeah, my goodness, I was absolutely blown away. And then the next day, of course, we had to observe because it was very, very important.
Yeah.
And it was there was also a citywide garage sale in our area, or the place we were at. So we decided to go walk around and look at the houses that were selling. All in all, like, of all the times to leave on a high note, this was definitely one of them. And now I leave Friday, and I'm talking like I'll never come back to the state of Iowa, but I will. I'll be back. I hope.
It's dead to you now.
Well, I can't because my wife is still up here, and
Yeah.
it's going to be a little complicated.
Well, I hope that doesn't get too crazy for you.
Yeah. Although, like all things considered, it was a great weekend. I didn't play much Pogo during the week because, yeah, I was too focused on the transition at work. I do want to be a little wholesome for a second, not like salty taco like I normally am. Quick little PSA: find yourself a job, or if you have a job that you fall in love with, like make yourself best, like make buddies with like the higher ups. Don't like brown nose them, but like just be friendly with them. Because one of my boss, my last day was supposed to be this coming Thursday, but my boss pulled me into his office and goes, "You've been doing a very good job in this company. We appreciate everything you do. Let's have your last day be May the 3rd, and you're going to be paid until May the 10th." And I go, "Oh." And then he goes, "And your vacation is going to be taken care of as well." So I'm getting a full paycheck for only working half a week, and I have a couple of vacation days saved up from like when I just didn't feel like taking them. So it was like a very generous quote unquote severance package, but I was shocked that like he did that. And I go, "Is everything going to be okay?" And he goes, "Why wouldn't it be? I'm the finance guy. Like I'm going to make it work."
Yeah. This is fine because I say it's fine.
So all in all, like, although I was sad to leave, I was very happy that I was taken care of in that company. So that's my wholesome moment.
Yeah, it's good when the good people get taken care of,
Yes.
and not like in a euphemism kind of way.
We didn't just get company pizza parties for smashing record profits.
Yeah, that's what you commoners like, right?
Make it a pizza party, and the pizza slices are like that big, and everyone gets like can only have like two.
You just get to smell it. Why did you think you got to eat any?
Pizza sounds right about good. I think during the break, I'm gonna place an order for pizza when the second part is over. I'm going to be nomming on it.
Yeah, it's always, it does the heart good to know that there's a pizza on the way.
Absolutely.
Or pizza nearby.
Yeah. Okay. So
wait, did you play Go Battle Weekend at all? Like,
no,
I know
absolutely not.
Okay, zero.
Zero.
Gotcha.
No. That's not true. I played 2 sets.
So you played enough to get the sandals?
Yeah.
Just in case you didn't have enough of them.
I need all the sandals, Jed.
Yeah.
Like all of them. I'm gonna open up a sandal business. I'm gonna take everyone else's sandals and just I'm gonna start selling them. They're gonna be like the Crocs of the Pokemon Go world. Everyone's eventually gonna get them.
So you did at least get. Was it an elite TM for that timed research?
It was I think it was 3 XL rare candies, 3 rare candies, and a wild spawn because I had already made Ace, so like I had already gotten the sandals. But like if you didn't get it, then you just didn't get rare XL candy. You got the sandals. I think
that seems like a bum deal.
I mean, most Go Battle days or Go Battle weekends, if you're not at Ace rank, you're gonna get the sandals if you complete the research. And if you have already gotten to Ace and you complete the research, they give you some extra goodies as, "Hey, thanks for grinding out GBL to Ace. Here's a cookie."
Yeah.
However, if you were playing, over the weekend, I've seen kind of a number of things that Niantic apparently broke their game for the nth time. Something about like not being able to. I think it was like the visuals were a little bit rougher because I guess for me, like I would be tapping, my opponent would stop tapping, and then all of a sudden there'd be a flurry of like Shadow Claws that came at me at the speed of Dragon Breath. So I guess it was like more desyncs than normal.
So the ones that I know are still happening are just like the game, like just unrecoverable games that like sometimes they barely even start. It just like will put you in the match and you immediately can't play, and it immediately counts it as a loss for both people, which just like is such a bad look. Where it's like, okay, cool. But yeah, the GBL part is in a rougher state than it's been in a while, and now we've also, with this most recent update, have gotten some issues just even with like the catch encounters where either they were messing with that specifically and were like trying to like tweak stuff with that, or it's just an unrelated byproduct. Like you never know because it's not like they respond or anything. But yeah, just not being able to throw if you're on certain Android devices, or alternatively, the ball just gets yeeted.
I know. I know one of our listeners had talked about it in our Discord. I always mispronounce his name. I want to say Raging Gingy, but it's like Ragging Gingy.
I think it's supposed to be raging.
I think so as well. I mean, we went on his show a couple of weeks ago, and I mean, I've kind of been a guest on his show for a number of times, and he said he was having issues with curveball throws, and I just said playing the game is hard. Like he just was having issues with it. He's like, I tried to do a normal curveball, but the Pokeball rockets itself behind the Pokemon. And then you said turn off the native refresh rate.
Yeah, thankfully, we're used to stuff breaking. So as soon as it wasn't working, there was already like a Reddit thread. So there was a place to go land and figure out like what the most practical fix was, if there was one at all. Like unlike the Samsung issue before, where the game would just crash over and over again. Like this one is just, well, when you're trying to catch stuff, you can turn off native refresh rate, and then when you go back to do more battles, turn it back on.
I'm actually still scared. I still haven't upgraded to an S24 yet. I'm still on an S21. But I'm just too scared to upgrade at this point. Like,
well, and it's not related to the phones anymore. That was an issue initially because it wasn't just Pokemon Go. It was many of the games on whatever their processor is. But they figured it out, thankfully.
Now, if only the software part can figure it out.
Yeah, well, we'll see how that all goes, right?
I mean, I would be honest, I've used this time to kind of team build and the VG portion. I unfortunately, like I talked about last week, about my Calyrex. So now I have a really good Shadow Rider Calyrex. Now I need an Ice Rider Calyrex. So I restarted, cheesed my way to the final encounter where it's like catch Calyrex in the Ice Rider form. Woo! And the game has a built-in failsafe where it goes, you can't even hold a Pokeball in your hand. Come back when you feel like you're as strong as the champion. Which, if you're a game designer, if you're gonna jump out of the immersion for a second, it goes, you're not supposed to be here. I don't know how you got this far. Come back when you've beaten the champion or in the post game of Sword and Shield. Man.
Yeah, no cheesing for you.
Yeah, I'm speedrunners. If you're in the speedrunning community and you know how to get to Calyrex and catch it within an hour and a half, please let me know. Because I mean, I'm already at the 8th gym badge for sword, but I was kicking and screaming the whole time. Let me tell you what.
I don't know because it's been long enough, but I feel like that game was easy enough that you can cheese with pretty limited game build, right? Like,
I've cheesed it about. I went to the Dynamax adventure, got a full team of 6 Pokemon, and just have been running through the story like that.
okay, I was gonna say, I guess the only fights you even really need 2 for are the Dragon Gym, right?
Yeah, it's going to be double battles. And a friend of mine showed me how to cheese it a little bit, where I took Grookey, I put him into Scarlet and Violet, I leveled him up to Rillaboom, got him to level 100, sent him back, and now he's kind of like, if the Dynamax Pokemon adventure Pokemon can't get it done, send in the monkey to just drumbeat everything to submission.
Have you had any issues with them not listening to you?
No,
Or no, you traded your own, right? Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah. So it was a starter I got from Sword. I put it over into home, then
I
sent
caught
it
up.
back.
Yeah.
But it was weird though, because like I had no badges, and the Pokemon I caught in the Dynamax adventures also listened to me, but I caught him at level 65. And then when I go to the 7th gym badge and I catch it, and they go, Pokemon you catch at level 55 and below will obey you. And I go, somebody didn't do something properly. And
Yeah, this is not. I actually remember now. There's in that first section of like the open area, there's the Noibats flying around that you can catch, but
yes.
they're like level 30. So the game doesn't actually let you catch them until after you unlock the next part anyway. So it's just like, what? Why did I even go through like my whole stealth training arc to interact with these?
Yeah, it hasn't been a fun time, I'll tell you that much. But my Pokedex is sitting at 14 caught, because apparently
That's all you need.
Dynamax of it. Yeah, I've just been cheesing it, and I've been I've been using the same 6 the whole time. Like I also had to get the Pikachu. You know, the Gigantamax Pikachu from, if you have a save data from Eevee and Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu, you can get them. And I thought like once I set the game, it wouldn't let me do it, but because it's a check, it uses a different game save file. You can basically get that infinite amount of times.
That's interesting. I guess you could also do the Gigantamax Meowth for money if you needed it, right?
That one I don't know, because I don't know if that was a mystery gift. Because they said if you redeemed a mystery gift and you restart your game, it's gone forever.
Yeah, I mean that's an online check. The Meowth is just an in-game trade.
Oh, I gotta find it.
And one that I didn't understand until after I had evolved it. And then I was like, oh, now I get it.
And now I'm sad.
Yeah, oh well. And now I can't hatch a Kanto Meowth because they all come out bearded.
Oh, here it is. It's in Turfield Town, or Turfield, whatever. It's in the Turfield gym. You have to trade a Galarian Meowth for a Kanto Meowth, but that requires me to go catch a Pokemon. I don't want to do that. Nope, not doing it.
That's one catch too many.
Dude, the Dynamax adventures were one catch too many. My goodness.
I just wish I could change the music for them.
Yeah, I agree.
Because that loop got stuck in my head hard.
Yeah. Although,
Um,
I guess one of the main things is like going back and battling the gyms, and you're just like, you have that bop music, was like dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, the gym leader music was great. It was fantastic. There were like a bunch of the rival music also great. The Dynamax Max song was like, you need like 5 of these that rotate. You can't just be like,
And
because you could be stuck in those dens for so long, especially since they're like the end game content.
well, it's also weird because when you like, I guess for music wise, in Scarlet and Violet, the gym music, the ball was dropped on that one. In Sword and Shield, the raid music was kind of the ball that dropped on that one. Like,
Yeah.
I kind of want them to bring the gym music from Gen 8 over into Gen 9, or if they do like Pokemon Legends ZA or whatever, and they still have gyms for whatever reason. I want the sword one to at least be like in it, or like if they remix the Kalos gyms, which weren't bad, because they were like also like pretty like, yeah, let's dance. But I want them to bring like that much intensity to know like this is a battle. We're having fun. And while we're at it, bring it over into Go. But that will break the game even more.
Yeah, they don't need any help right now. They're not really in an ideas space. They're more just putting out fires.
Yeah. I'm not gonna go back to their ideas this in 2024 haven't been the best so far. And that's the nicest way I'm gonna put it.
Want to talk about Community Day?
Yes, let's do that.
Briefly.
We're gonna talk briefly about community days, and I have a little thingy for it. Bam! Alright, so ignore my terrible looking. The community day for this for May is gonna be Bonsuite or Serena, because Serena is better to pronounce than Bonsuite. I'm gonna remove my webcam for a second. So it's gonna be the standard, increased spawns, 3-hour lures, 2 times catch candy XL trades, blah 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 blah. Seeing as it last month we had the 3 times Stardust. This time it's gonna most likely be 3 times XP. Yay! Or no, yeah.
I guess we could be back to a hatch bonus.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. I kind of hope that it is because I hardly go out for event like quarter distance for community days for egg incubators because I hardly hatch eggs unless like I'm at a special event. But yeah, it's hard to get excited about this one. But the details it was just announced today. By the time this episode goes live, they'll probably have the move released. But like with Serena itself, you have Magical Leaf, Razor Leaf, and Charm. What other fast moves do you want to put on there?
Better energy generation.
Okay. I mean, I'm kind of looking at, Serena's moves. It doesn't really have a lot of like fast moves that it can pull from unless they come out with a new move. Like
I guess that would be the one instance where Trope Kick would be interesting, is if they added it as a fast move.
as much as I would want them, what if they make Tropic like you said, or not what you said? If they make it a fast move, they should make it a counter clone. Something.
I mean, it depends if they want it to be useful at all. Like, I don't foresee the Pokemon being super useful. Like, I mean, it's okay as like an attack weighted Pokemon, right? Like, it's not gonna pull out a bunch of like, it's very similar stat wise to like a Charizard. and it's solo. It's mono grass.
So
So it's like,
it needs a shadow bonus to be good. Also, here's the shiny family of what it looks like. It looks really cute. I like it. But like what you were saying,
yeah, I like it. It could do okay. I don't think it's gonna like take the meta by storm, no matter what it gets. The one that's kind of been floated for it is just that through it, a bunch of other Pokemon also get access to high jump kick for next season, and that could be maybe the most interesting. And just to circle back to like the potential egg incubator bonus, I feel like we're now at the time of year where you can get away with it, right? Where for the places where it's no longer winter slash no longer summer, you can probably get out for a walk a little easier.
yeah, or a bike ride. If you have the infrastructure for it.
Nowhere is safe, Taco.
You're not wrong, honestly. Although, San Antonio, we're gonna see how bikeable that city is. I give myself maybe 3 weeks before I call it quits and go back to driving a car.
You need one good scare.
Dude, Texas drivers, we go fast. We
And
go very, very fast.
if you get hurt, who's going to take care of you?
Fudge. I mean, you're not wrong.
there's no fallback.
Exactly. So yes, and then we talked about Niantic breaking their game again. And other than that, there hasn't really been a lot of news from like the Battle Frontier or Niantic.
We got confirmation on the flying event thing where it's just like with the electric one, like we said, it probably would. So enjoy your shiny hunts if you're missing any of those highlight Pokemon.
Have fun.
Yeah. And then everyone by now knows about Remix Cup. It's been interesting.
I kind of enjoy it. I know some others might not enjoy it as much, but
people feel however they're going to feel about the Carbink Cup.
I'll say it once, I'll say it again. There's counterplay. There's so much counterplay around Carbink. I mean, was Skarmory banned? Yeah, it was banned. Okay.
Yeah.
Was Empoleon also banned?
No.
Okay, so I mean, you can still use like Empoleon.
Yeah.
Or I mean, if you want to use a Mudboy, you can, but just be careful with like the Razor Leafers. At least with Empoleon, you can fight back with like Drill Peck and Hydro Cannon.
Yeah, or being neutral. I didn't see too many Razor Leafers. Like I saw a couple Shadow Victory Bells. I don't think I saw anything too crazy. Like I think the spiciest like adapted team from Open to Remix that was fast move ish was just like the Grass Double Steel with Shadow Vic in the lead, and then it was Steelix and Alolan Sandshrew because Sandslash is banned. I was like, you know what? that's cute. Yeah.
You gotta give trainers a nod for their tenacity to use Pokemon.
Yeah.
Or to be degenerate like myself.
And I had mentioned Chinchou last time just because, like, hey, Lantern's banned. How do you get that unique typing still? But I don't think anyone took me up on it.
Because you shouldn't. You absolutely should not.
I don't know. There's still a full week after this goes live of Remix Cup, so we'll see where it ends up.
All right, that's fair.
There's
All
still
right.
time.
Please no. I beg of you.
You ready to talk about round 3 of the playoffs?
Yes. The penultimate week. I just gotta find it here. Here we go.
The first week that actually lasted for a week
Absolutely. And
against all
hopefully,
odds.
yeah, you know the staff. You got to give it to the staff. However, I do want to just point out the very last day. There were so many disputes that came in.
Oh.
And I was like,
Aren't
it's
there
Cinco de Mayo.
rules about that?
No. That's just when it was mostly like technical issues. So like you're supposed to put the dispute in, when like if there's a provisional rematch, but because I guess more players had their matches scheduled on Sunday, that's when they filed. Because state of the game is state of the game.
Yeah, it's iffy.
So with that though, it was very hard because I was very much enjoying myself, but I was not the best ref over the weekend.
But it got done, and as far as I can tell, there's only like one match that didn't actually get played. It looks like, just based on the scores.
Yeah,
which isn't too bad, especially since that's the first one so far of the playoffs, right?
excuse me. Yeah, and at the end of the day, like it hurts both teams in the long run because, of course, it does.
Yeah, that's potential points left on the table for either one, and a lot of these standings are close enough for a couple game points to matter.
Yeah. So I don't know if these 3 points are going to come back and bite both Pogoats and A9 in the butt, or even the Inferno and SoCal Swablues. Whichever team that was. Looks like blue? Blue. Wait, no. Oh. You cheeky buggers on the back end. So
Yeah.
So when when I screen captured this, it was 11-9 Inferno Overdrive SoCal Swabu. Now I just hit refresh and now it's 12-9.
Yeah, well, and if you click on the matchup, it still says 11-9, so like it's clearly just like they justified it.
Yeah. But, we can still go over this. I'm going to remove our webcams for a second so that people can look at, or I'll just remove my webcam before we get into these scores. There it is. We have Elite TMs and LU Origins at the top. Biggest surprise, though, Team Beginner and Winner down at the bottom. Which means
somebody got to go 0-4.
You're not wrong. Bless you, by the way.
Thanks.
You're not wrong in the sense that like 2 teams have to go for it, but now it's like you see these teams down here, like SoCal Swablu Blue, A9 Elites, Beginner and Winner. There's a chance they end up in Premier Tier.
There's still a giant asterisk on the where people are ending up, mostly because of the shuffle that has to occur and not actually having enough teams to fill in the brackets as they stand. So we'll see still.
Watch us by some stroke of luck. Diener Don't Care gets moved up despite having a losing record. Obviously, that's not going to happen, but
I'm happy to play wherever.
Same. So, looking back at these scores, we have Elite TMs beating SoCal Swablues 13-8. LU Origins pulls out a very close victory over SoCal Swablu San Diego 11-10. Pogoats beat A9 Elites 11-7. Inferno Overdrive defeats SoCal Swablu Blue 9. I just said it like not even 2 minutes ago, and I'm still like, which SoCal is that one?
Yeah.
Born from Ashes defeats Antimatter Go 11-10. Cool Cats defeats SoCal Swablu Coastal 13-8. And then finally, Bad Mewtwo's defeats Team Beginner and a Winner 11-10, giving them their first victory of the playoffs.
Well, and same for Cool Cats. They're now both at 1 and 2 because of round 3.
Oh shoot! I didn't even know that. Or I didn't even look at that. Like, yeah, they lost Born from Ashes and they lost to San Diego. I don't know what's going on in the playoffs, but at this point, I don't want to know what's going on in the playoffs. I'm too scared to ask. Things are happening. I don't like them.
It'll be fine.
Teams are winning when it's not supposed. Teams are upsetting powerhouses. Powerhouses are dominating or struggling. But there is still one constant. Elite TMs wins.
Yeah, they're still chilling. This is kind of the first time they've been
tested,
brought back to earth a little bit.
No, they got tested against beginner to winner. That was
also true.
That was a 13-8 final score.
So, another speed bump.
Boop. So that gives Elite TM. I mean, they're still, at the end of 3 weeks, they've scored 45 points. They're averaging 15 points a week, Jet.
Well, the disparity when you're looking at the top two at the 3-0 teams, like they're literally an entire match ahead. Where even if they lose, they'll still have a higher score than Origins probably.
Yeah. I don't know what to say. Like, that's just Elite TMs deserves to be at the very top. And they're going to be at the very top. Kind of makes me wonder, these other teams that were in the Legend tier, are they going to be able to give Elite TMs a run for their money? Or are they going to just let Elite TMs run roughshod of the Legend tier? I don't know. I'm not saying that the teams in the Legendary tier are bad. I am saying that Elite, no, absolutely not. I don't want to start fights this late in the playoffs, Jet. I will, however, say that it's going to leave a giant question mark. And I'm super excited to see what storylines they bring next cycle. Or next season, because I guess technically we should make it a season.
Yeah, I just hope they're having a good time.
Hey, it's always fun to have a good time when you're winning.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always fun when you're winning.
So, but yes, they score 15. They average 15 points a week. She's only giving up 6. For context, LU Origins averages 11.8 ish.
Yeah. Which is enough to get over the line. So there you go.
And now they get to play each other this week. I mean, they both have solidified. Well, Elite TMs has solidified being in the top tier. LU Origins just has to do enough to not get dropped down from and not get undercut by San Diego or Inferno Overdrive should they win.
Yeah, whoever emerges out of the rest to pick up their third win.
Mm-hmm. I mean, heck, I'm not gonna say Pogoats is a shoo-in either. They could also sweep in if they blow Born to Ashes out of the water. But Born from Ashes is a very consistent team.
Yeah, they've been doing super well. I am probably most excited that Swablu San Diego plays Swablu Gold. It feels almost too good for the narrative, where they are bookending their playoffs with Swablu violence.
We started with Swablu violence, and we're ending with Swablu violence. And I'm here for that. All right. So we took a look at some of the interesting matchups, and we decided that we're going to do Board from Ashes versus Antimatter Go, because it was 11-10. It was very, very close. And I want to see, was it 2-1s across the board, or was it sweeps? I'm not going to give you a spoiler alert. We're just going to go down right to it the whole time.
Excellent.
You ready, Jet?
Where do we begin?
We are starting in the Great League, where we had Keybon 10-13 from Born to Ashes square off against Cheetah.
Born from Ashes.
Yes. Keybon from Born.
Yeah, whatever preposition that is.
Yes, so Keybon brought Shadow Dragonair, Steelix, Chrysalia, Quagsire, Skeledirge, and Chargerbug. And Cheetah brought Galarian Stunfisk, Skarmory, Jellicent, Altaria, Shadow Machamp, and Venusaur. Before we start, there was no updated meta usage by the time that this episode had started, so we're going to skip right by it, because we don't have numbers.
Yeah, just assume, unless we come across something weird, that everything is the
Normal.
same.
So Cheetah brought a double steel line into a Fire and a Mud Boy. But, there's also that Shadow Machamp with...
I feel like the Shadow Machamp is the thing that's just standing out in general.
Well, because, you got Rock Slide to threaten Skeledirge, Cross Chops and Counter to threaten Steelix. That Rock Slide also can threaten Chargebug. Venusaur is essentially a Quagsire wall. Nothing wants to see it. I'm not sure about the Venusaur Steelix matchup too much.
It's pretty bad for Venusaur, especially with Psychic Fangs stuff.
Oh, right. Jellicent honestly looks like it shut most of this team down.
At very least, it couldn't do it for free, you can soak the Incinerates at least, and that's about it for fast move. But yeah, it's at least threatening everything on the other side.
I think Cheetah's biggest hurdle, per se, was to eliminate the Chargebug. Because if I see the Chargebug, I'm going to look at it and go, no. Stop it. And I kind of see Chargebug does well into Skarmory, Jellicent, and Venusaur? Because of that X-Scissor? And Venusaur's only dealing neutral damage. Sorry, neutral or resisted damage to the bug.
I mean, it's neutral or resisted both ways, right?
All right, I'm going to ask that question. I haven't asked the type question in a while. Is bug into poison is resisted?
Yeah.
Oh. I'm going to add that to my list.
So then it becomes more of Chargebug is just a little tankier than Venusaur.
Okay. I was operating under the impression that the X-Scissor, that bug into poison was neutral, and therefore it made X-Scissor super effective.
Gotcha.
That's where my train of thought was going on this one. But since they're both basically neutral into each other, and you said Chargebug is tankier, then yeah.
And it like the advantage there is also just the X Scissor is the spammier move, whereas Venusaur the Sludge Bomb is a little bit more expensive. Like a lot of the times you get it on the same move, but it's like every other one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think Charge Book outpaces to X Scissor before Venusaur gets to Sludge Bomb. Because if it's a CMP thing, Venusaur wins every single day.
Yeah. Well, and it's going to be a little bit drawn out usually just because like neither of them is going down after a single move.
Mm-hmm.
And just to speak to the Charge Bug call out a little bit more, the like the actual what I would call counters on Cheetah's side have really hard answers on K-Bon's team. Like you looking at like Altaria or Stunfisk, where the other team has a Quag and a Steelix. It's like, okay, well, you almost have to lead them because if K-Bon leads Charjabug, you need to have an answer already in.
Yeah.
Because like there's no safe way to address it if it's on the lead.
Yeah, and that's kind of something like when I called out the Charge Bug, I think once Cheetah got rid of it, it was so much easier to just play around whatever Keybond could bring. But then it kind of begs the question as were each of the 3 matches rock, paper, scissors each time? It could have very well happened.
You hope not, right?
I hope not, but if that was the case, I mean, a 3-0 is a 3-0, so congrats to Cheetah for taking it here. Any final thoughts before we move on into the Enchanted domain?
I'm okay calling that one an impressive sweep.
Yes. All right, so Enchanted domain /field /cup /whatever
/ultra madness.
One day the naming convention will be set forth. Until then, tough. So we had Nate Dogg the Razor from Born from Ashes go up against Big Olin 91.
Nah, dog.
Oh, Nah Dog. Oops. I don't know why I said Nate Dogg. Okay, Nah Dog the Razor. So, Nah Dog brought Regice, Annihilate, Blastoise, Shadow Drapion, Skuntank, and Tapu Fini into Big Dolan's Cresselia, Dubwool, Shadow Alolan Sandslash, Dragalge, Jellicent, and Clefable.
Regice is cool.
You took my awesome break. Now I have to default to Dragalge. I mean, it's whatever.
I like it better, even better this week than the last time we saw it.
Remind me again. The most common moveset on Dragalge is Aqua Tail and Outrage.
Yeah, just because the Gunk Shot is obnoxious to get to.
Okay. So if that was the case, then I think Double would have had to be running Wild Charge here. Well, actually, no. I take that back. Double definitely did bring Wild Charge because there's 2 water types. Double's looking at it going.
Nothing resists the Wild Charge, so I feel like that's a go for it situation. And you don't get anything out of payback, so
yeah. I wonder what Cresselia brought. If it was Moonblast or Future Sight. Maybe Moonblast? Because you would hit both Poison Darks for neutral with a fairy move versus single resisted with Future Sight.
Yeah, and just for Ultra League, you kind of have to cycle through the third option of the double nukes, but again, because you have the double water, I feel like you get way more mileage out of the cheaper move anyway.
Yeah. Especially you can follow it up with, Jellicent and Clefable to kind of shore up the Annihilate and Regice matchup because Clefable gets Meteor Mash.
Yeah.
For some reason does not raise attack, which it really should.
I'm kind of glad it doesn't. That would be a lot.
Look, we're gonna try to make Metagross better in the Master League. Okay?
Well, and it does clearly needs some help after that last Premier rotation.
Yep.
But yeah, I like Clefable a lot in this matchup. And then double also.
So, with all that being said, and we're giving so much praise to Clefable and Cresselia, you would think Big Dolan was able to take a victory. Now he got a point. Nawdog took a 2-1 victory on this one. Although
I feel like Nawdog has been on a tear. Like he has always been a good player, but especially recently, I feel like every time I've looked at his matchups, he's been on the winning side.
one thing I also want to talk about, I do want to shout out the Annihilate here because the counter Night Slash or counter Shadow Ball combination, you hit 4 targets for like massive damage. And you're only really walled by Clefable.
I was trying to think too who were missing, and neither team brought the Galarian Wheezing, which is usually
Skeleturge.
Yeah, which are both like usually pretty problematic for the ape. So it's just
this is just a feast for it, but
a nice little read. Like there's Jellicent in the place of a Dirge, right? So it's like it's still not taking any counter damage on that particular Pokemon, and you got resists on 3 others, but
and the Feeny, or actually the Regice, because I mean you can get to Blizzard through that Trickology, or Feeny can do what it can with Moonblast, but yeah.
Yeah, well, and this is one of those where I would have to probably look at too many matchups, but just knowing that Regice also gets Earthquake, I'm wondering if that isn't
that's right,
like a more consistent option, or like
I forgot
it also gets Zap Cannon, so like that combo would also be neutral or better into this setup. So like maybe it has no ice moves at all.
Well, with Zap Cannon, you're doing resisted damage into Trickology.
Yeah, well, I just mean across
all
the mons. Like by the time you have Earthquake, I feel like that's probably enough.
I see. Okay, I see what you're trying to say now.
Regice is pretty dang tanky. Anyway, that's my guess. The Pokemon we haven't touched on at all are the Poison Darks. And I guess this is just as good a space as any. You just throw out the usual disclaimer, like in most Ultra League scenarios, like they are the safe swaps they are just because they are so neutral.
Yeah. Do you think you could I mean, I'm not saying really anything for Drapion. Do you think you can get away with running Sludge Bomb and Crunch and just foregoing the Aqua Tail completely?
Well, yeah, like especially since you have nothing to hit with it, right? Like that. I mean, that's just a good call.
Yeah, so maybe the double nuke. The double nuke is definitely a great play, and then Skunk Tank with Poison Jab. Insert moves here. So it's got Flamethrower, it's got Sludge Bomb, it's got Crunch and Trail.
Yeah, there's only the one Crunch resist in Clefable, but then it's also taking the extra poison damage, so
I like the Crunch for the debuff chance. So like even if like say you're locked in and you throw a Crunch, you get the debuff, and it's like now I win even more.
Yeah, I mean Crunch is always good. It's kind of pick your poison after that.
Flamethrower I could see a case for Flamethrower just for that alone Sand Slash, but Annihilate's there.
if you're worried about it, but like I feel Alolan Sand Slash is just like is just a tough bring into this team anyway.
Mm-hmm. There was definitely a lot of bench pressure brought here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, congrats, Nah Dog. Apologies for getting your name wrong the first time.
Congrats, Nate the Great.
And that's worse than me. Any final thoughts before we move on into the Master League?
I'm gonna be hoping for at least a couple kind of outlier picks for our last entry into Enchanted next week, where I appreciate the fact that we're seeing some ingenuity going into the last couple rounds.
Gotcha. I mean, you got to find a way to mix up a meta to get an edge on your opponent. Otherwise, you're behind the curve. Alrighty. Master League. We got Pokehunter 1329 going up against Alleging Tuna. Pokehunter brought Mewtwo, Therian Landorus, Gyarados, Florges, Tapu Bulu, and Excadrill. And Alleging Tuna brings Mewtwo, Melmetal. Okay.
Yep.
Kyurem, Genesect, Gyarados, and Hisuian Avalugg.
Cool to see our first Bulu. I mean, I think this was the first time it was allowed with the move. Maybe last week also.
I believe so.
But it's been weird because last round was 2 weeks. So it might have. It's hard to remember.
I do like the Bulu call because it does really well into. I had to stop myself. I was like, it does really well into Kyurem and Hisuian Avalugg, but then I remembered Powder Snow exists and Avalanche or Glaciate exists. So, word of caution. I like the Excadrill bring, for the Melmetal. And I forget, with Excadrill, you run the Drill Run and Rock Slide. Does that win in the Kyurem and Hisuian Avalugg matchup, or is that still a loss for the mole?
I don't think there's anything immediately threatening the Excadrill from either of those. So I think you're pretty safe to play that.
Okay.
It's like there's follow-up matchup stuff that can be weird just because you're most likely going in to the next Mon debuffed once or twice. And I did go look, and there were Bulus in the last round as well. So this is just like I guess people like Bulu. And I mean, if you did go out of your way to build one after it got the new move, like it makes sense to get some mileage, right?
Yeah, and especially with like Grass Fairy, you really don't have a Pokemon with like that unique typing. Whimsicott fans, calm down. That you can play in the Master League. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, and I'm not really seeing any like Grass Fairy moves. And especially like the most common Pokemon is Gyarados. It pretty much walls Gyarados, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, and just being grass type in Master League in general definitely has advantages where there's a lot of things that
Being a
the
grass,
asterisk. Yeah, the asterisk is usually except for the dragons, but because you're fairy, like you can also throw those in. Like you can at least fight most of the familiar faces.
I think you still struggle with the Dialga matchup. I could be wrong on that.
Well, I think you struggle with consistently winning a lot of matchups just because of stat product. But if we're just talking about typing, then it's in a good spot.
Okay, gotcha. All right, and Florges. I mean, there's two steel types on the other team.
Just yeah.
And of course, Mewtwo is a pretty solid Pokemon to bring overall. It hits everything on that other team for neutral, because Shadow Ball go burr. But I know it's a very expensive move to get to. I want to say that the steel types on a Legend Tuna side was the difference between victory and defeat here.
I like the basically half team investment in ice types. Assuming Genesect is ice, that we haven't really seen that move yet, and especially with how common Landorus has become after Sandsear, and then even with the neutral damage into Gyarados, like I enjoy seeing a Kyurem pop up. The Hisui and Avalok, I constantly need to remind myself, is not a steel type, but it sure does look like one.
It is still so wild that there is steel types in the Pokemon Legends Arceus game. Because it's like everyone goes back in time. Steel types technically shouldn't exist, but we're not going to count that.
They are iron type.
All right, before we got on the subject of Bronzong, I really think there could have been a Hisuian Bronzong that was like a grass type. It was made of wood or something. A grass ghost type.
Or at very least re-skinned to look like a cast iron bell or something.
Yeah. Okay, that one I'll accept as a steel type.
That would be fun to at least like make it thematic.
And I have to remind myself that the Paradox Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are not all steel types. Even though they 100% should be.
Yeah. And if we're gonna
Or electric. Okay, I'll concede that point.
if we're gonna divert that much, I will say that's probably my biggest gripe with the future Paradox Pokemon is how impossible it is to guess what type they are based on their design, which to me is like a design failure, right? Is if they all look steel type and basically none of them are, like I think maybe we did something wrong.
Yeah. Like Iron Moth. The name is literally iron. No, it's a fire poison type.
Yeah. Well, and they're all iron, right?
Yes. Every single one of them except Miraidon.
What's the past one? And then we can go back to the
For
matchup.
the past one for like
Do they have like a naming convention like that, or is it just the future? I was just trying to
no,
remember.
just the future. Like the past ones, like the
That's so
Paradox
weird.
Jigglypuff is like Screamtail, Fluttermane,
Why did they get
Gouging
so
Fire.
Why did they get so lazy with the future ones? Did they just run out of time?
Most
Anyway.
likely. Raging Bolt.
Uh,
Roaring Moon. Like you see those and you're like, yeah. And it's just like Iron Jugulus.
mm,
But yes, we'll go back to the matchup, I promise.
I feel like the challenge for alleging Tuna is actually the opposing Gyarados. Like that's the gamble, is you cover a lot of the other options super well, but then at least you have the mirror and you do have your own Mewtwo and Melmetal, but then of course that would just exclude your fun picks, which are worth bringing still.
Yeah. Well, I'll divert into the main series games one more time because I got a notification for it. The next 7-star raid is Primarina. It's gonna be a fairy type, which makes me a little sad because I spent a lot of time putting a competitive Primarina together. I'm not mad.
I guess someone agrees that it's a good mon.
I did want to build I did build a Primarina team for Regulation E. It had very little success, but it was fun. All right, now we'll go back to the matchup at hand. So, back to this. Alleging Tuna, congrats on your 2-1 victory. And I'm honestly super... What's the word? I'm honestly super impressed that you brought 2 steals, 2 ices, and possibly that pseudo steal in Genesect. Until you say otherwise, I'm gonna assume it was Frost Drive because it's just too good.
The pseudo ice, you mean?
Yeah, that pseudo ice. It's just really, really good into all of this. And then Ironhead. I mean, Genesect probably single-handedly won you this match. Wait, no, Genesect doesn't get Ironhead, does it?
I think it does. Very least it gets Magnet Bomb. I was like, it does get a steel move. I was like, Ironhead is a common one. I was thinking of Caesar.
Magnet Bomb. Yeah, it got Magnet Bomb. So, like I said, Genesect still could have single-handedly taken down this team.
Trying to think. The fun thing for, I think it's only the Shock Drive one that gets like a interesting move aside from the Techno Blast.
Mm-hmm.
Well, or I guess I just learned something. The Douse Drive gets Gunk Shot. That doesn't make sense to me, but okay. Because you have access to Zap Cannon and the Shock, which could be worth it just for the debuff.
I don't have a response to that. Like,
I don't know how practical it is just because it's so expensive, but yeah.
I don't like this.
It's
now
okay.
When Genesect comes back, I'm gonna feel obliged to get it.
It's a real easy raid. That's the best part about it.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, I'm moving on to Serene.
Yeah, where things make sense.
No, it doesn't. I'm seeing new Pokemon we haven't seen in a little bit here.
Yeah, one of the Pokemon I've been walking recently.
All right, so we have Shin from Born from Ashes go up against Dr. Roastbeef from Antimatter Go. Shin brought Female Oinkologne, Defense Deoxys, Shadow Quagsire, Alolan Raticate, Noctowl, and Alolan Raichu. Meanwhile, Dr. Roastbeef brought Farfetch'd, Alolan Raichu, Oinkologne, and if it makes any difference, these are the female versions. Azumarill, Jellicent, or Alolan Raticate.
It matters for the stats. It matters less for just calling them out unless someone registers and uses a male Oinkologne, I guess. It's worth calling out.
If they win, it's worth calling out. But the male version of the Oink Alone is more attack weighted than the female version. But for Go, you know, we run the female version because it's bulky. We like bulkier Pokemon, especially in the Great League. With that being said, what is Oinkalone's max CP as a female? 2949. So technically it could be good in the Master League.
I don't
Sorry,
think
Ultra League. I meant to say honestly, Master League should just have a requirement of the only way you're going to be viable is if you're at least 3,000 combat power.
And that's pushing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, just for anyone curious, the actual difference between the genders is like 10 whole HP.
10 HP, 7 defense, 14 attack. So it can technically be. So this one is as IV dependent as you can make it.
Well, you you get a heavy preference for that extra bulk.
Yeah,
it can be significant.
Gotcha. All right, back to the matchup at hand. So there's the Farfetch'd. Into Fury Cutter, you're doing super effective damage to Alolan Raticate, Alolan Raichu, and Defense Form Deoxys.
And you're taking super effective from one of those two.
You're taking super effective from the Alolan Raichu.
At least it's not taking super effective from counter.
I had to double check. So Farfetch'd, because I don't know these moves. You get Fury Cutter, I knew that one. Leaf Blade and Aerial Ace. So
Leaf Blade is the real winner just because A, it's such a good move, and then B, this meta is so water heavy.
Yeah, so Farfetch'd really put work. From first glance, looks like Farfetch'd really put in some work here. And of course, to shut down the Alolan Raichu, you have Alolan Raticate and your own Alolan Raichu.
Yeah, and I know we've talked about it before, but it is always tough to play into an Alolan Raichu without a ground type.
Yes. And it looks like it was felt on the side of Dr. Roastbeef. The unfortunate part is that Azumarill did not look like it had a lot of targets. And
like it's fine. It's good soak. You can soften up anything you don't beat. Like it's not like it's nothing. It is definitely an asset in softening up a bunch of these tankier Pokemon.
So I'm kind of looking at it like against Shinsight, if you bring the Azumarill, Alolan Raichu kind of does the same as long as it's not lined up against the Defense Deoxys. So wouldn't it? Or actually, maybe even I would probably argue Jellicent, maybe, because there's 3 normal types and you're getting hit super effectively by the Alolan Raichu, and then the Defense Form Deoxys can still hit you with Thunderbolt. But you do outpace the Shadow Ball, I think. 7 counters to a Thunderbolt, 6 hexes,
5
hexes. So that's 15 turns to the Shadow Ball. 6 counters, that's 12 turns. No, never mind. Defense Deoxys outpaces you.
The Shadow Ball is much more threatening though. So
okay. By one turn. The math by one turn.
it's still I think you have to be okay playing the Jellicent into the Alolan Raichu. Like you do win the ones. It's a lot of pressure there. But yeah, it is tough to bring the Jellicent into triple normal.
Unless you put bubble on it, in which case please don't. I don't want to have to do the math again.
I wish bubble was a full hex clone. Like I wish they were like interchangeable by type, but just the fact you're generating a little less energy is tough.
I was gonna say, didn't Bubble get a buff this season or last season where it dealt?
Yeah, the damage is back up, but the energy is still
needs another buff.
Not at the hex level.
It needs another buff. I want Azumarill to be back in full force. So that way my Alolan Raichu can eat him up. Gotta play the long game, Jet. So before I forget, congrats on Shin for taking a 2-1 victory over Roast Beef. I would have loved to have been in the war room there and have watched these matchups in real time.
Yeah, the Alolan Raichu enjoyers could rejoice for sure.
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Send us those videos. We want to see them. But, not now because we're about to switch away from... we're about to switch away from video format.
Who's next?
Okay, so we have Chili's FM from Board for Matches going up against Mr. Dr. Pants. Chili's brought Defense Deoxys, the Angriest Bird Swallow, Quagsire, Jellicent, Oinkalone, and Golisopod. Meanwhile, Mr. Dr. Pants brought Dugong, Swampert, Oinkalone, Azumarill, Noctowl, and Alolan Raichu. I don't care what you say about Alolan Raichu into the Swallow matchup. Swallow hits the Brave Bird. That Alolan Raichu is not getting back up.
Yeah, nothing here wants to take a Brave Bird. I like the Dugong pick. It has kind of the opposite problem that we were talking about before. Where, Farfetch'd with the Leaf Blade can take advantage of all the other water types. Dugong, it is specifically a disadvantage to all the other water types. But at least it is a firm or a better answer to the Swallow than you have most of the time in this meta.
I do just want to point. I was doing some real quick sims on Swallow. The lowest amount of damage that Brave Bird does is on Azumarill. It does 54.7 or 54% damage.
Oh, so percentage wise?
Yeah.
What is the -1 do into Dugong if you still have it up?
Let me double check. Hang on, it's been a hot second. -1. 40. Oh wait, you said into Dugong?
Mm-hmm.
It's a Dugong at -1. It does 52.5.
Okay, so similar.
Yeah. Oh no, sorry. Brave Bird into Dugong at no debuffs is 65.8.
Gotcha.
And Alolan Raichu, if it gets hit with a Brave Bird, it's doing, and this is resisted, 72.4% damage.
Yeah, Raichu doesn't actually like to get hit with anything. it prefers not to field charge moves.
And nothing wants to get hit by a Swallow Brave Bird, as someone from one of my locals who listens to this podcast likes to say, "Hey Taco, remember when I hit you with that Brave Bird?" Yes, I remember. My Sea King had 60% health, and I called the bait wrong, and I got one shot.
I mean, Seeking is a pretty hot pick.
It was it was the one before Architect Cup. I even tried to debuff it. I debuffed it too, and it still did a bunch of damage.
Too much. Yeah. Seeking is not tanky.
Yeah, I know. I learned that I learned it that day. Yeah, Brave Bird does 93% damage into Sea King. But at -1, it did 75. Yeah, 75% health. There's no coming back from that. Anyway, matchup at hand.
I like the Swallow narrative. There's a lot of neutral play around still. I mean, that's just the world that is Serene, but
Do you think that Quagsire?
Sometimes. What?
I was gonna say, do you think that Quagsire was wearing Stone Edge, like Aquatail Stone Edge?
Or Mud Bomb, like,
Well, that one, Mud Bomb Stone Edge.
I feel like as soon as there's the flyer, you're kind of obligated to run Stone Edge. Like, Aquatail's okay. I feel like, especially if it's the normal Quag and not the Shadow, like that's kind of where
I see what you're saying.
you lose a little bit of mileage on the Aquatail, especially into 2 that actually resist it. Whereas the Mud Bomb is also picking up the danger mode into Alolan Raichu that much more.
Gotcha. I still can't get over Swallow.
Yeah, well, and I'm okay calling it for Swallow. Like, obviously, there's still a lot of gameplay involved, and you gotta kit the rest of your team. But
yeah, I wonder if Chili's just said, "I'm bringing Swallow," and I don't care what happens next.
It's time to burb.
Well, congrats to Chili's for taking a 3-0 victory over Mr. Dr. Pants. And Swallow will forever be the angriest bird, but not the best bird.
Now we can Primordial.
Let's do it. Whoops, I'm still in the Internet Explorer. Or not Internet Explorer, Opera GX. Not sponsored.
What's the new one called? Edge.
Oh yes. I actually used Edge a little bit. It's not as bad as Internet Explorer was. Like
the bar
obviously
so
like it's right here, and like everyone else is like up here. Edge is like right here. It'll do the job that like you need it to do.
Great.
But it's not like as slow as Explorer was. But I really think that, I mean, we have it because Microsoft wants their own web browser, but
they want your data.
As an Opera GX user, I'm not gonna lie, I started using Opera GX because I followed them on Twitter, and I was absolutely laughing at whoever runs their social media profile.
It's a legitimate strategy.
It does, and that's how Wendy's got popular again.
You mean it wasn't the square patties?
No, I hate the square patties.
It didn't capture the imagination of a new generation.
Absolutely not. Huh. Today I learned that stat debuffs, it takes stage 1 is 0.8, stage 2 is a third, stage 3 is, why do they make that 11, not 11/16, like 7/16? And then stage 4 is -5 or 0.5.
Yeah.
What if they gave Swallow a move that lets you do that raises attack?
Bulk up.
Oh goodness. Bulk up Bravebird.
Swallow gets bulk up, right?
It should. I know it gets access to guts, which you give it the flame ward, let it use facade, just watch your enemies drop.
Yeah, all I know is gut.
Alright. So, okay, now we'll move into Primordial officially.
Truly, actually.
Yes. So, we have options from Born from Ashes go up against Dior from Antimatter Go. Options brought Sudowoodo, Cradily, Togetic, Chargebug, Milotic, and Aurorus, and Dior brought Aurorus, Chargebug, Hisuian, Quillfish, Cradily, Sudowoodo, and Milotic.
This does not bring me joy.
No, it does not, because we see the Pseudo Cradily core again. And pretty much the only thing that changes is Togetic and Hisuian Quillfish.
Yeah, literally.
In a vacuum, I would give the edge to Dior from Antimatter.
Yeah, you would think that Quillfish would be Togetic.
But Dior probably said, no, I'm going to get it lined up. I'm going to accidentally get it lined up against a Pseudo or a Milotic.
Well, doesn't it beat Pseudo? Am I totally off my rocker?
Only one of us is allowed to be off our rocker. I am checking right now, actually. Stand by.
I felt like that was the nice thing about it. It's close, I guess.
Pseudo wins
Wins
the
by a
zeros
hair.
and one. Yeah, the zeros and ones it wins, and then it loses the twos by a hair.
So you get some setup potential, but I feel the meta is just so lineup dependent that I don't know that one fast move does a lot, except maybe to allow your own Sudowoodo to be like just a little ahead. So it's one of those Pokemon that just needs energy.
Yeah,
Like even as good a move as counter is, like if you want to get off more than 2 charge moves, like I feel like you need a head start.
yeah, I agree. Well, that's about honestly. That's about all I can really say.
Well, yeah, we've talked about it a lot.
We haven't really talked about Togetic coming back as much as it did, and like Steel Wing into Aurora's Cradily and Sudowoodo. But that's about all I can really say because Ancient Power and Aerial Ace are bad moves, and Dazzling. Well, if you live long enough to get to a Dazzling Gleam, maybe.
Yeah, well, it's one of those that earlier in a matchup, like it's such a hard wall to some of the dragons we've seen, and that is kind of what makes it have the niche that it does.
Mhm.
But I feel like endgame against anything that isn't relying on dragon damage, you just lose. Or it is tanky because it's got to be pretty much fully powered up, right? Or it's like at least level, like if not act 40, like approaching it.
Yeah, I see that.
Not that that means that anything you have to power up that much is automatically going to be tanky, but
It's a better chance.
it's better than the Togekiss we're used to seeing, I guess.
Yes.
In other instances where you can kind of get rid of it without thinking too hard, whereas this one actually adds some bulk to your team.
Yeah. All
It
right.
just yeah, it feels weird to always or almost always be staring down a super effective charge move.
True.
So it's like, is the bulk helping? Maybe this time it did, or maybe they just played double rock and a rock counter.
Double rock my Lodic.
Yeah, yeah, they played the three most common Pokemon because they could.
Yeah. Or they played whack-a-mole with the Charge-a-Bug.
Yeah. Where's it gonna show up?
All right. Primordial slot number 2. This one looks a little bit different.
Okay.
But before I forget, congrats to Options for taking a 2-1 victory. All right, primordial slot number 2. We had Jerps from Born from Ashes going up against the 6'4 Ninja. I think that's how you say it.
Yep.
Okay, so Jerps brought Sudowoodo, Goodra, Milotic, Aurorus, Charjabug, and Drapion. And Ninja brought Lapras, Goodra, Sudowoodo, Charjabug, Hisuian Quillfish, and Sceptile. I think Sceptile went off. Like Leaf Blade, Breaking Swipe.
Yeah, you
You're
have a good
doing
opportunity against like you're still gonna have trouble with Drapion and Charjabug, but at least the other four you can definitely get some good hits in.
yeah. I mean, I'm starting my deal with Sceptile. There's also the Lapras with Ice Shard. I'm calling that out because, there's the Goodra, and, Lapras might have put some bench pressure on. And I think it's tankier than Sudowoodo in the Great League.
It's got a big HP pool.
Pseudo just beats it in all even shield scenarios. Well, and 2 shield scenarios, you have to land the Meteor Beam. And then you can essentially counter down. Or no, you throw the Meteor Beam, and then you can counter down Sudowoodo. Lapras doesn't even get to use its second shield.
Yeah, so the notable absence here is the Credilli. And then Milotic is only on one team.
I think Jerps tried to do a double Dragon strat, like with the Dragon Breath and Dragon Tail, but without a really decent answer into like a grass type. I think that kind of is what allowed Sceptile, which honestly a really good call, to kind of not necessarily neutralize, but shut down the double dragon strategy or make it harder for it to do what it needed to do.
Yeah, well, and the saving grace though is that Sceptile is real squishy.
Mm-hmm. And Gudra
And
is really tanky.
well, it's tanky for a dragon. It's not like it's all that tanky on its own.
I still cannot believe that's Gen 6's pseudo. I know I say
Yeah.
it at least once an episode.
Well, yeah, whenever we're looking at it. I am excited for it to gain the Dialga typing eventually.
It needs it. Because then it looks cooler.
Except my stunning shell.
Look, I want to use Shelter and then just watch it. Just watch it go burr. I'm also looking up X and Y to see if there was a better pseudo legendary that could have been.
I just remembered something.
Oh,
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's how it works. Is for the Hisuian Coolfish, if you're wanting to beat Sudowoodo, you run Poison Sting.
oh, because you get to build two surfs faster.
Aquatail, but yeah,
Right.
same
Oh.
idea.
Yeah.
So
Now I remember.
that then gives you all even shields.
I keep thinking that Noivern was pseudo legendary for Gen 6, but then I remembered it only has a one stage evolution.
Oh. How cool would that be if Noivern evolved?
What would it look like?
I'm sure like it is obviously already like over designed, so that wouldn't be what happened, right? It would have some kind of middle or maybe non-flying version. So I feel like we would lose Noibat is what would happen.
What if they make Noibat the middle evolution and then make it like a baby bat that can't fly as like the first stage evolution?
I think you would still need to beef up Noibat a little bit.
Well, yeah, Noibat's only a speedy boy, just like Flagon. Not trying to like make the comparison, like insert Flagon stuff here, but
Vibrava.
Flagon is mainly good for its speed stat. Same with Noivern. It has a decent enough special attack stat to put it over the edge, which can outclass Flagon. But Flagon has the same attack and special attack stat, so you can run it as a mixed attacker, or you can run it as like a physical or special attacker. It would kind of just depend on its move pool. Yep, Flagon breaking swipe Niantic. we already on the subject. I had to bring it up.
Yeah, I was still just looking at that last matchup, and I feel like the Double Dragon is still enough damage to be troublesome. Like I don't think there's a good direct answer for both Gudra and Melodic, right?
Mm-hmm. The only thing you could really do is line up Gudra with their own Gudra and then save the Sceptile for the back.
Yeah,
Like,
well, and that's kind of what I'm getting at is like Sceptile or Turtibug are much better into the Melodic just because then you can actually take advantage of all of their damage where Gudra can soak just a little bit too well.
Yeah.
So anyway, just
Well, the double dragon strat, at least in this case, got Jerps at least 1 point.
yeah.
Unfortunately, though, it wasn't enough to put them over the hump, and with the 6-4 ninja getting 2 points, that did give them the 11 that was needed to get an 11-10 final score.
I think you have it backwards.
I do.
I mean,
Ignore what I just said.
that is in fact the score, but
which I flipped it the other way. Jerps got at least 1 point that was needed to put them over the edge. So
there, yeah.
And with my head canon, it was 10-8 going into the final matchup. The 6-4 ninja got 2 wins, and then Jerps found a way to get that 11th win for the team.
We do like to see the more interesting team come out ahead, but yeah, I feel that the double dragon is here to stay. It's a little too convenient.
Yep. It is very overpowering. And remember, not everybody can be Matt the Sub-Zero Slayer.
I know this well. Were there any of the round 4 matchups we didn't shout out specifically for like previews?
We actually have not shouted out any of them yet.
I mean, I shouted out one specifically.
Yeah.
So.
But we can shout them out here before we go to break. So
okay.
The final week to determine your placements in the North America tier. Elite TMs draws LU Origins. Pogoats draws Born from Ashes. There's going to be some more SoCal Swablu violence here with San Diego gets to play against Gold. Inferno Overdrive draws Bad Mewtwo's. Cool Cats draws A9 Elites. Antimatter Go draws SoCal Swablu Blue. And finally, Team Beginner Winner draws SoCal Swablu Coastal. Which of these teams are actually, I don't even want to know what the finals are going to look like, but I can try to predict winners, and then I will be instantly proven wrong.
It'll be great.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Just what you wanted, actually.
If I tell myself it'll be fine enough times, I'll eventually believe it. That's how it works, right? A little reverse psychology.
Is that reverse?
I don't know. I haven't taken psychology in 10 years.
Fair.
I can't remember how to do psychology, but I can do calculus for shiggles.
There was some dedication there.
There was enough to where, what's the word? There was enough to where, like, I took so much math in high school and so much math in college that, you know, I may not be able to know how to do my taxes, but I'm able to find the derivative of an exponential function off of blah 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 blah. And
isn't that what life's all about?
Yeah, I mean, the equivalent to math that I use right now is 1 + 1 = 2, or 2 - 2 = 0. Hey, you're out of money, guys. Pay me.
Whoop, we've gone into the red.
Pay me. With what money? I don't know. I'm my job is to tell you have a problem, not how to fix the problem.
I am the red flag.
I'm a whole banner. I'm a whole red flag banner. So, I guess with enough stalling, we are going to take a quick little commercial break. But we'll be right back after these messages.
Hot dang.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that commercial break, because I know I did.
I'm glad we're here for part 2.
Part 2 is always a fun time. It's where we get to relax and just kind of take our suits off for a second and not talk about the Battle Frontier?
Sort of.
Yeah.
Maybe.
No, we're always talking. Battle Frontier is forever. The propaganda writers at the Battle Frontier totally did not tell me to say that. So, we're just going to do some quick little housekeeping stuff before we get to the second half of the show. This podcast is powered by you, the viewer, whether you like, comment, subscribe, whether you subscribe on Patreon to help us keep our digital lights on, and whether you give us a follow on the podcast portion, like Apple, Spotify, Google, and Amazon Podcasts.
That well-known podcast site, YouTube.
Yeah. I do want to give a special milestone. I stopped doing this way back then, but I feel like it still needs to be celebrated, you know? So just recently, we passed 4,000 plays over the lifetime of this podcast. And
that's pretty cool.
That is honestly amazing. Like the amount of y'all that tune in, week out, and, you know, give us your insights on the weekly questions and, you know, kind of meeting some of y'all out in public and be like, hey, I recognize your voice from the podcast. I was like, oh, thank you. Or, you know, a chance meeting
I
at
heard a taco.
or like a chance meeting, you know, where, you know, we're at a special event and it's like, hey, do you have a Pokemon to trade? And then it's just like you were asking follow-up question after follow-up question, and then finally it clicks and it's like, hey, you're Taco from the podcast. And especially with Jet too, because I think Jet told me that story, or you told me a story one time where it's like someone recognized you and you're like, I need to get used to this because you didn't, or something along those lines.
Oh, I guess it's just anytime someone mentions the podcast, like even just battle opponents, or they're just like, just kind of as our interactions are winding down, just like, oh yeah, by the way, good job on the podcast. I was like, I guess it makes sense. I guess it's still exactly the people we should be reaching, but at the same time, it's reassuring and just feels great to know that we are in fact reaching the people that we should.
And honestly, it makes my RuneScape brain in my head when I see that number go up. It makes me feel kind of sweet and fuzzy inside. 'Cause I did say this, you know, if dust this off of your old bingo card. I really thought this podcast itself would last maybe 10, 15 episodes, and then it's like, well, this was a fun time. Let's do something else.
You did the thing.
We did a podcast.
You can't be sad that you didn't do it.
It was a thing to cross on my bucket list, but just watching it grow over time, and, you know, in 4 months we're gonna hit our 2-year anniversary. We should really do something like special for it.
We got some time to think about it.
Yeah, so definitely once we're at the 2-year mark and we're still going strong. And as of now, you know, we've expanded to include the amazing hosts that are working behind the scenes for the EMEA, APAC, and LATAM region. We're super excited, and, you know, the final week. So yeah, I can't wait to show off. I can't wait to, you know, put a giant spotlight on everything that, you know, we've been working on.
Yeah, I'm glad that we're finally getting to the point where we can throw the spotlight their way.
Yeah, because they deserve it, you know. They took a chance on us, you know. Like when we were looking for hosts, they all applied, and we liked them, and they decided to say, yeah, let's do it. So I guess like I'm gonna make it a very long sentimental way of saying thank you. Like I very much appreciate it. It warms my. It makes the Dean Air inside me care just a little bit more, which means unfortunately Dean Air does care this time.
Oh no.
So with that being said, you know, extra housekeeping things. We do have a YouTube channel that you'll be watching this episode on, or if you're listening on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, we do have a YouTube channel. Feel free to check it out. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun YouTube jazz. If you follow us on Spotify, give us a rating. It really helps us out in the algorithm. And if you follow, we appreciate it. We like to see, give us 5 stars. It's awesome. And if you leave us a review, like you can on Apple Podcasts, if it's witty enough, we'll read it out loud on the show, as long as it's safe for work. Don't want to get in trouble on that one.
I just want us to get to the point where YouTube stops auto-correcting the search for Enter the Dragonair's Den to just Enter the Dragon's Den. Or enter the Dragon, rather.
Yes. We'll beat that YouTube algorithm eventually.
It's like, did you mean this? It's like, no, don't.
Stop it, YouTube.
Stop trying to smoosh our viewers.
We also do have a Twitter/X. We are at Dragonair Den, where you can follow to get updates on the show. Eventually, I will remember to update. Looks like we might have had some technical issues on that end, but they may possibly have been figured out.
Oh, Craig.
Yes. Lovely, lovely Craig. So, where was I? Oh, yes. The socials. Eventually, I'll remember to upload, or not upload, but post on, Twitter/X. Generally, I forget. If you want to follow me, I am at TacoDog8. Just bear in mind, I don't just post about Pokemon. I post about memes, RuneScape, Formula 1, NASCAR, and just about whatever pops into my head, as long as it's safe for work.
Dogs and tacos.
That too. We do have a Discord that you can join. It is going to be located down there in the show notes /description. Feel free to join us. Click on the taco saying you accept the rules, and you will agree to not be a jerk, and you will have access to the rest of the server. If you wish to support us via Patreon, we do have a section where you can donate. You can support the show for as little as $1. Getting access, or supporting the show, gets you access to a super secret Discord chat. Of course, it's not very secret because I announce it every time. You also get an episode at least 24 hours in advance, so if you want to watch it there, cool beans. Getting access to the higher tiers gets you access to the recording booth chat, where you can fact check us in real time. I did remember to turn off the parts where you can connect, but you can't speak. So you can at least use the. You can at least use
seen but
the
not heard.
Yeah, that. Do want to take this time to shout out our amazing patrons. The Dragon 8 tier, we have Thanks Obama, ZT Smith, Sotiri, and DeFi250. And then at the Baby Dragon tier, we have Reviving Ophelia and Herm13. Their amazing, support for the show really does mean the most. And we hope to continue to give as great as content as we can put out for y'all. If, like I said, if you're unable to support the show for whatever means necessary, I get it. Times are tough. The economy isn't the greatest. Prices of eggs are going up, sadly, which means I can't have my egg sandwiches.
For what it's worth, it's not just us; it is the entire world.
Yes. Feel free to give a like, follow, subscribe, or even just share the video. It takes 2 seconds, and honestly, it helps us out, and we will very much appreciate it. So, I think that covers everything. If I forget, I'll remember it eventually. So, with that, we are going to move on into our community engagement section. So, Jet, last week we asked the question, what Pokemon should Niantic not forget about? Or, give extra encounters for? Y'all did not disappoint in the weekly questions answer in the Discord. We did not have any answers on Spotify or on YouTube this week, which is okay.
We also apparently did a poor job wording the question, but I do want to shout out that I got my wish almost immediately with the May addition to the Wonder Ticket, which had another Poipole encounter.
Yes.
So that felt like, I guess they didn't forget after all.
Right. And so I'm going to go into just kind of lightning around these answers. So the first one was from teammate Moist Donut, and he responds with Slugmanuts. I guess he just hasn't been able to find a Slugmanest, so I'm going to call that a skill issue.
It is a nice shiny.
It is. I want one of those. So we had a talking Pikachu, or as he has not changed his name in like a year and a half now, which is kind of scary. JetForceGemini. I'm going back to a talking Pikachu. That's easier. He responds with, we haven't had any opportunity to catch Lapras in years. There are also very few opportunities to catch Seal outside of seasonal events in geographically limited biomes.
Shadow Lapras.
Oh, I missed the Shadow Lapras. Yeah, Shadow Lapras too. Yeah, when was the last time we saw a Seal in the wild? Besides the Kanto event, obviously.
Well, there's that, and then they're one of just like the random Pokemon that's in like the daily incense pool.
Oh.
Which is, I feel like, where I see them most often.
That's fair. I can vibe with that, Give Seal some more love. Especially with Dugong, Dugong is a very PvP viable Pokemon.
Yeah, hopefully you've seen a few. I feel like they might be wrapped up in like water or beach biome stuff. Like I don't think I've seen very many around, even with the Kanto event, where they probably tied them specifically to those areas.
Yeah.
Which is like where I saw Shelter. So
honestly, Shelter gives like 750 Stardust apiece.
All bonus Stardust is appreciated.
I can really take that.
Especially when the catch rate isn't randomly astronomically annoying, like
as a comedically
Combi.
Oh, I hate Combi.
Like Audino is its own thing. Like that's.
I mean, it gives $2,100. $2,100 does a pop.
$2,100.
Yeah.
I've been in the wrong business.
You're telling me. So with that, we also do have the Naked Hornet, friend of the show, always gives amazing answers. And the Naked Hornet says, Wooloo and Squovit could use more widespread availability considering their great builds for newer PvPers in terms of cost and splashability into a team. Shadow Ol and Marowak also needs a re-release, as I believe it was available for one event 2 years ago.
Yeah, if you happened to have Shadow Cubones hanging around, you could evolve them.
Yeah, I remember there being such a hoopla about it, and it's like, guys, it's just Shadow and Marowak. Yes, Shadowbone does a lot of damage, but it is frail as can be. Put on a Shadow bonus and it becomes frailer. And, our new best friend, who I've probably lost the race to legend at this point, Philo, who says, anything from Galar. We're almost done with the Alolan starter community days, and the Galar starters haven't even been released.
I feel like we touched on that when we were kind of going through potential community day Pokemon coming up, where there's there are weird omissions, especially with how they've been releasing Pokemon, where yeah, it's getting to be about that time, and Alola does at least still have a few missing, and then you know they for whatever reason are still making the goat not like a global release where it's like no event only.
It's not even that good.
Well, and it's extra weird because it was an instant shiny release.
Oh, that's
So
why.
it's yeah, it's just it's a kind of an outlier. It's kind of weird. But yeah, it's about that time.
Trying to double check, like in Galar. Actually, no. They should just release Snom.
Straight to another useless but very cute Pokemon.
Like, I don't know about you, but when Snom starts dancing around, like it deserves it. Okay, Snom, Dreepy, Duraludon. That's really about all, like the only ones I can think of. Of course, the Galar starters. There wasn't really that much.
Gigantamax.
Stop it. There was
Um
in
there's the
all.
there's the
Oh,
fox and there's the like Rookidee family.
oh yeah, Corviknight. The Corviknight family's good.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, there were 80, not even 83. Yeah, there were 83 Pokemon, or actually just 80 if you don't count, the legendaries from the DLC like Kubfu, Urshifu, Regieleki, Drago, Calyrex, and the Horsies. I mean, Galar is super small. Like,
Yeah, I mean they have a few forms. They have a few like Duraludon is going to be interesting to see how they handle it just because they haven't released it and it has a evolution that it didn't have. So it's like do you just wait? Is that just the ones you do late because of that? And I feel similarly about like the missing Hisui Pokemon where I
we
I'm less weirded out by those than I am about the very notorious missing Gen 4 Pokemon. Where it's like it's about that time.
we're only missing Basket Legion for. Oh wait, Hisui and Lilligant.
Yeah.
There's Hisui and Lilligant, Basket Legion. That's it, right?
I think well and those are the two that like I think about where it's just like where are they? Why don't we have them?
We had a whole LA tour for this, and they still didn't give it to us. I want my
And
money back.
yeah. So like I don't I know that there's a lot to be said about how they released Gen 2 like literally everything all at once, but I I know there's a better way than the drip feed that we're getting.
Well, when you think about it, if they released everything the way they wanted it to, and assuming the pandemic continued like in 2020, Gen 1 was 2016, Gen 2 was 2017, Gen 3 was 2018, Gen 4 was 2019, Gen 5 probably wouldn't have been 2020. I would have saved it till 2021. Gen 6 would be 22, Gen 7 would be 23, Gen 8 would be 24. And then next year, when they release all of Gen 9 in 2025, what do you do when 2026 happens and there's not like Gen 10.
It's like, oh my gosh, you have to come up with content. How crazy. You can't just keep piggybacking the franchise. What?
Right? But I kind of look at like Niantic. Though I don't agree with what they're doing when sort of like, releasing new Pokemon like once every 6 months. They're trying their best to try to extend the life of this game, no matter how hard they try to delete it.
I think that they already ran into like their big problem with the raids, right? Like they ran through the legendaries just to keep releasing new things and having that be the content. And like now we have had the last, is it 1 year or two at this point now, where it's like basically got nothing new of just rehashes, where it's like I think
Do we
you have
count the
to
elite raids?
no.
Okay.
And yeah, I also like, obviously there has been some amount of attempt to like tackle the new social space that is the world after the pandemic, but I just, and obviously like if you're trying and succeeding to attract new players, which like I don't know how true that is, but
They did their best.
yeah, it makes sense to have a rotation for legendaries, but there at least also has to be some aspect about it that makes it worth engaging with, right?
The unfortunate part, and this is where we do have to kind of draw a reality, is Pokemon Go is finite. Like, there is going to come a day where it's going to be time for the service to shut down. And, though it's gotten a lot of support in like the competitive scene with Play Pokemon and the Championship Series, you know what also got support for in competitive play in the Championship Series for, TPCI? Pokken Showdown. And that was just the last world championship. The last world champion was supposed to be crowned in 2020, but it got pushed back because of the pandemic. So 2022 was the last of, I think it was the last tournament, or the 2019. So I mean, the unfortunate thing is like, though you're trying to extend the life of the game so that you can continue to play on it, at what point does Niantic kind of look at it and go, "We've done all we can. It's time to move on," because you can't continue this game with the way it is. Apparently the player base is unhappy. Niantic's hemorrhaging money, quote unquote.
I don't want to like point at the game as like a reason for their mismanagement. Like they literally have a golden egg. Like yeah, that is a totally separate thing.
I mean,
and
they had the golden egg, but they yeeted the golden goose. For lack of a better way to put it.
No, they thought they had the goose, but all they had was an egg. Is how I would describe it, because like suddenly every franchise tried to hop onto the AR train and realized that it didn't work. Where it's like, oh, this was like specific to the wish fulfillment, like intrinsic to this franchise, right? Like being able to play in the real world, like has is built into the nature of this experience. And I think that is also the legs that it has, is just like that opportunity to complete the Pokedex. Like we had that like just short of like Ditto and the legendaries when the game, like when the base game came out, right? Is you could basically fill in and go like, apart from whatever like single digit number of regionals, like that was it. And to me, like, that is probably the part that they need to readjust is like that is a motivator, is just like having that ability, that capacity to complete the Pokédexes.
Mm.
And it's like, okay, so you have some people that do it, but I feel like it has legs that they're not leaning into just because, like, they feel like they need to hold back stuff. But like
Mm.
that also makes the task impossible. So I think they need to have a better relationship with the end game in that respect.
That, and I did say it when I first hit level 40. It's like, well, I hit level 40. Now what do I do? And it's like, well, now you can play the game. And that is a true statement to anyone that's ever played an MMO before. Oh,
Well, and
I hit
yeah,
like the rank.
I love making the XP bar go away. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I hated when it came back.
I missed it. Like when I hit level 40, and like after 2 days, I said, you know what? I missed the XP bar. I miss working toward a goal. And you had to go and like make your own goal. And of course, it was around the time PvP had just released. So it's like, well, I got level 40. Now what do I do? Oh, you can PvP. Okay. How do I do that? Tap. All right, now what? Be the best like no one ever was. Okay, that's a more lofty goal. Let's do this. And it took
Well,
me two.
and I agree with you in general. Like, I do wish there were more like long-term goal things, but I don't think that they have to be an EXP bar, right? Like, I'm grinding the game anyway just for the resources I need to do the PvP stuff and
Mm.
just build the things that I want, because just holding them in my box does not mean that I have them done.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of like, even though like, level 50 is there. I'm level 47. I'll hit level 50 when I hit level 50. Like to me, my main focus is, on PvP, and there's not really a lot of Stardust. There's not really a lot of XP in that. So, of course I'll get out. I'll do like I'm a raid train conductor, but I haven't really conducted a raid train since Shadow Mewtwo came back. No, before Shadow Mewtwo came back, and that was like 6-ish months ago. Shadow Ho, that was the last raid train I conducted. And it's just like, to me, the game just, I kind of have hit a spot where it's like, I need to step away from this game. Otherwise, I'm going to learn to resent, I'm going to grow to resent it. And I don't want to do that. The community is the reason why I still play the game. Y'all are the reason why I still play the game. PvP is the reason why I still play this game. And now it's kind of rekindled my passion for like, VGC, or I just recently got into the TCG, so now I'm playing all three facets of what TBCI does. Am I good? Absolutely not. It's the go part. I'm pretty good there.
Well, and that is kind of the nice thing, like, while we're in a lull, I guess you'd call it, just like content wise, is yeah, there's a whole other facets available if you do want to check them out.
Yeah, this is a nice little stroll down memory lane type of thing. Kind of like look at where we started to where we're now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to segue into this week's community engagement question. And we're going to make it Battle Frontier related because we haven't done one of these in a very, well, I would say very long time, but unless you count the news episode with Magus. So the community engagement section for this week is going to be, what was your favorite moment of Cycle 2 in the Battle Frontier? It could be something like our team was down 10-8, and I 3-0'd to help the team win 11-10. Or your favorite moment as, you had a hard fought 3 battles, but you lost 2-1, but you felt like you gave it everything you had, and no other battle has made you come close. Something, like that.
Felt that way a few times this season where like my matchup just felt bad enough that getting the one win was like relief.
Yeah, I can tell you my favorite part, without being like too, what's the word? Not too wholesome. Sentimental. I can't think of the word right now.
Mushy.
Yeah, mushy. That we're going with that. My favorite part was when we had a couple of players go on the bench because they were doing some outside. They were doing some live stuff, and so honestly for the first time in quite a while, I came off the bench and I proceeded to battle. My first match, I took a 2-1 victory over a rival captain, and it felt really really good. And then I followed it up with a 3-0 sweep the next week. Technically it was a 3-0 sweep, but it was a 4-0-1 because we had to play a provisional rematch and we tied. But officially the score was 3-0.
That's a lot of games.
It was. In that short time, I was like, all right, guys, bye. And I guess the funny part for me was, coming off the bench, doing that. But like the second battle where it's like, all right, guys, thanks for hanging out. I played 4 battles and everyone's like, bye. And then everyone jumps off and I type at faction member. We're playing a provisional rematch. I need you all back in here for moral support. And then everyone jumps back in and we battle. It's like, hey, you didn't need us, Taco. And then they just left again. I think that was my favorite moment, and it was just like it kind of reignited a passion for battling, and it was something that I was like super proud of. It's like I can still battle with the best of them, or the best of our tier at the time. And that was like that will forever be like my favorite moment. I'm not gonna talk about the next week because I got swept, but just
yeah.
Like those like that short little stint I had as like, I'm the captain, but I'm also riding the bench because I like when the other players play, but I can still fill a need and not feel like I'm getting 0-3'd or 1-2'd every week. It felt nice. So that's my favorite memory.
Yeah, well, and that got to be like the silver lining of the fact that I had like a forced hiatus for 4 weeks.
I wasn't gonna throw you under the bus yet, but since you said it,
I mean, it had nothing to do with me. It was just
I know
phones,
phone
technology.
I mean, it was fine. Like I got 5 out of the 9 points. So
yeah, 5 out of 6 sounds a lot better than 5 out of 9.
we'll take it.
Yeah.
So what was your favorite part of the Battle Frontier? Or like your favorite moment?
I'll probably have to think on it. Like I was I was glad I had a reason to bring up the 4 weeks because I was gonna say it definitely wasn't that, but there was still like good moments from that time. Like I felt like I still got to be helpful just in the brainstorming parts of the game. Like obviously I couldn't grim, but I can still look at matchups, still give advice and whatever coaching.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if it counts like in the Battle Frontier, but just doing the interviews for our other hosts, like I would put that pretty high up as well.
Oh, you got me there.
Well, and where it was just like it was just all it is very nice when just all the right people show up.
Yeah.
Which is kind of how I felt about our team the whole time. It's like the the curse of good fortune.
Yeah, we have a special group. We have a special group of trainers, and I would 100% say it. This team, DNR don't care. We can battle with the best of them, and we will find ways to win, even when no one else thinks we will.
And it's like the more of a long shot that it is, like the better we do. It's
Yeah.
like I feel like sometimes we just get too comfortable.
Well, sometimes we need a swift kick in the butt to realize that we're not invincible, and that's
Yeah.
okay. Because we'll dust ourselves off the next week, and Arceus help whoever our next opponent is.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, we're going to turn this question over to you, the listener, and the viewer. If what is your favorite moment of as we wrap up, cycle 2 this week / next week? We're going to leave this question open for the next 2 weeks, so feel free to answer it at your leisure. What was your favorite moment in cycle 2 of the Battle Frontier? It can be as wholesome or as degenerate as you want. Just keep it safe for work. Like, I ran Carbink, Bastion, Shadow Vic in Battle Frontier. First off, why?
We do enjoy the stories of running your favorites and having them actually work out.
Absolutely. So we're going to go through the Play Pokemon segment. I do want to give a special shout out. A local cup, Iowa City Critical Hit Games at 4 p.m. on May the 18th. Show up. I won't be there personally, but the group down there is an amazing group of people. And the TCG players, they come out to help. They help the Go community get tournaments to fire off when they need to, and they've been having a lot of fun. So, if you're in the area, and I say within an area like possibly a 3-hour drive ish, and you're looking for something to do on a Saturday, come on down. Finals are over, so we do have our last regional of the season before NAIC. It is going to be in Los Angeles. I want to give a special shout out to our teammate, Moist Donut, who will be headed out there. He is confirmed at this time. I don't know if anyone else is going, but if you're able to, I would highly recommend it. And then finally, we had Indianapolis over the weekend, where S. James E21, I think in his second ever regional, ended up winning. His first one was in Peoria, where he got second place, and he is also the captain of Elite TMs. So if you want to know how to, if you want to see just a person put on an absolute clinic, go watch him battle. It is an absolute pleasure.
The how-to video is real.
Yeah. I mean, I had the pleasure of battling him when we were in Peoria. He was my second round opponent after I beat Ryan Swag, and he was the first time I had been hit with a combo play like in my Pokemon Go career, and he was doing it like it was second nature. And I held my own against him. My team, I had a water gun lantern, which his team was not the best in at the time. And we went all the way down, and it came down to a CMP or a charge attack priority event. And
you can say CMP here. It's a safe space.
I know. I'm just trying to learn everything. So if I ever decide to apply to be a caster, I won't differentiate between the two. Unfortunately, it did come down to a charge attack priority, and I came up on the losing side. So it was a 2-1 in his favor. It knocked me down to losers, and he continued on. But afterwards, he goes, afterwards we're like, that was a very tough battle, and we were just like chatting left and right about it. And it was very nice to like sit down, pick his brain a little bit, and ask him questions. And I hope he didn't get too annoyed at the questions I asked, but I just wanted to learn how to learn and get better.
Yeah, well, and that's the bottom line. Like the best part about playing better players is that is the best time to improve.
Yeah, I do hope to one day battle against like the top players. I may go Owen whatever but I'll gosh darn it, I'll learn how to do it. With that though, I do want to give a special shout out to a teammate that we did not know was going until we saw the bracket.
And did they go?
They for their very first tournament, they made it all the way to losers round 4. And they ended up the person that sent them to losers round 4 ended up making day 2. I believe it was, or they ended up top cutting. So I want to give a special shout out to Cheesy Curl or Curl in our Discord. Great job of your performance, man, and super proud of you. Just makes me a little more sad that I couldn't go to Indy and cheer you on in real life.
IRL.
But I will be the team's biggest fan. I will be shouting from wherever I am, Texas, at the venue. As long as I don't get thrown out by security, I will. I'll do it.
I'm so looking forward to just like yelling at my screen whenever Zimmy pops in again.
Dude, yeah. And I'm super happy for him. I hope he does well at Worlds. Okie dokie. So it is now time for the salsa bar / where's the bacon? So first we'll ask Jet, where's the bacon?
The bacon, I had some tasty bacon this week. It was not the bacon. So I'm up to 1853.
Dang. Are
big numbers getting bigger.
247 encounters off from my predicted number.
I thought your next prediction number was 2500.
Oh, I thought it was 21. All right, we'll go with 25.
Someone might know.
If you know the answer, please let me know because I'll forget. So
I'm mostly looking forward to the end of the Kanto event just so I will get more of the pig spawns again.
That's fair. I can respect that. And it ends at the end of next week, right? Or this week?
Yeah, 3 days.
3 days, okay. Well,
it'll be done.
Well, for my salsa bar, it's going to be a little bit of a wholesome story as well. So, my last day was this past Friday, or not this past Friday, the previous Friday, the 3rd. And I was told I had to bring everything that the company gave me back, which was the shirts, the backpack, iPad, if any, blah, 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 blah. So I sat down with HR and I was like giving them my stuff back. And they took a look at my backpack and it had rained like the day before. So like when the rain had dropped on it, it left like little dots. So when I gave it to them, they look at me and go, you're supposed to clean this. I go, dude, I don't know how to clean a backpack. Like I can clean the inside of a backpack. It's really easy, but the outside, I don't know.
It's like, did you want me to wipe it down with like Clorox wipes? Like,
yeah, like I don't know. So he just looks at the backpack, looks over at me, looks back at the backpack, and goes, "As a parting gift, we're gonna give you the backpack.
You can keep your dirty ass backpack."
So I was like, "Oh, well, thank you. I hate you, but thank you."
Also, if you have a sweaty hat, you can keep that too.
Well, I brought my own backpack because I took everything out of the work backpack and I transferred it into, like my other backpack.
Sure.
So like the rest of the day, like I had 2 backpacks, and I had to ride home with wearing 2 backpacks. It was
Have the backpack.
yeah, like it was. I was just looking at it like golly. So if anyone out there knows how to clean a backpack, please let me know. My wife though, when she saw, I was like, "Why do you have another backpack?" And I go, "They didn't want the backpack."
They didn't want the backpack back.
Yeah, y'all, I'm up to 5 backpacks.
I'm a sucker for a good messenger bag.
I mean, I think I have. See, I haven't gotten one of those, but I'm going to get one of those. Like, I have 5 backpacks. I have a messenger bag or a waterproof bike bag. It's a 2-strap, not a single strap. I've got my work backpack. I've got a podcast audio backpack that I bought off of a dude because he was selling his audio equipment and threw the backpack in for free. I have my own college backpack. And I count this as a backpack, even though I don't. But I have a fanny pack that may or may not contain a lot of portable chargers. And I use that when I play Pokemon Go.
Necessary.
So, like, I guess, like, it's a cop-out for claiming the fanny pack, but I'll claim it because it goes on my back, like a bike messenger bag.
It's useful.
And then I have a set of bike panniers. It came as a set, and there's a backpack that you could put on the top, and it's waterproof. So there's my 5th or 6th backpack. Y'all, I have a backpack problem.
but who's counting?
So that's that. So I guess it's time we do some achievements.
Did anyone achieve?
No one achieved.
I feel like I saw Curl say he made it to 3100 somewhere.
Where was that? Oh wait, and that was in the other one.
Yeah, just in general.
Yeah.
So, double shout out for Curl.
Curl, excuse me. Curl deserves all the shout outs. We love Curl. Yeah, I see it. I'm up to 3100 running this team. And then I guess for me, my achievement is the only achievement I have is I quit my job.
Quitting achieved.
Yeah. I do have a professional reference. So I left on good terms, have a professional reference, and I can, if I, find another job, I can use them. Failing upward.
I feel like
I did that job.
It's hard to be mad at someone when they leave for family matters.
Yeah. All right. Jet, do you have any achievements that you want to shout out for yourself?
I did briefly get over 2900, but now did some tumbling while I was playing Go Battle Weekend. So back in the grind.
You'll get there.
Yeah.
Before I make veteran, you'll get there.
You gotta play first.
I do. All right. With that being said, though, that's going to be some GBL progress. I actually fell when I was battling. I was at 2365 for a little bit. Now I'm at 2335.
That's not too bad. That's
help.
That's one set difference.
Yeah. Well, when you go like 2-3 and then 3-2 and then 2-3 consecutive times and then 3-2. Weird though, it was a set. It was technically negative sets, or technically positive, but I still end up losing more elo than gaining.
Yeah, it depends who you lose to, also.
Yeah, I learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that, I think that about brings us to the end of the show.
Yeah, we can call that good.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Always remember, or before I forget, always remember before I forget, yeah. Do just want to make a quick, short little announcement. This will possibly be the last time that we will do video for the time being.
Probably.
Until, yeah, most likely. Until, I get back from my my trip. We'll still be uploading podcast episodes, but it will be just audio only. We'll kind of play it by ear for a little bit. So if you go to the YouTube channel, you see we haven't uploaded in a little bit. Don't make it look, or we haven't quit. Don't think we quit. We're
Don't
just
panic room.
Yeah, please don't go into the panic room. Just load up Spotify, load up Apple Podcasts, and we'll be there. Okay? So until next time, always remember, keep those dragon fangs sharp. Stay away from those fairy types. You can beat ice types if you try your best. And until next time, we will see you all in our next episode.
And good luck, San Diego.